If you're waking up every single morning, hating your life, dreading the day ahead, and then spending the entire day playing catch up just to do it all again tomorrow, then congratulations, you are in the right place. Prepare to break the cycle right now. These are the 5 morning habits that have completely flipped my life around from a girl living in North Wales, struggling to get the grades that she needed, to a whole friggin' doctor working in London, somehow with financial freedom that she has gained from social media. These aren't just the habits that have allowed me to create a life that I love on paper, but they will also make sure that you love every single second, no matter how hard that you're working. Not only that, I want you to leave this video with a structure in place. So if there's any habit that you ever want to start, you have the tools to implement it yourself without any help from me. And if I have achieved that, my friends, then this video has been a success. Habit number 1 to change your life right here, right now, is the gratitude group chat. If we're having a conversation about changing lives in any way, shape or form, law of attraction and manifestation is going to come up at some point. If you're unfamiliar with the 2 terms that have engulfed the entirety of social media for the past few years, then let me tell you what Google says. The law of attraction is the new thought, spiritual belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into a person's life. Now, when you put it like that, that makes complete sense. But I think a lot of the social media posts that you see about manifestation take a slightly different form. So when it comes to manifestation or law of attraction, I like to look at it through 2 separate lenses. Lens number 1, the supernatural lens. I remember watching The Secret, which is the book/film that I think initiated the big social media interest in manifestation and law of attraction. And when I was watching it, there is a person on it who claims that they manifested a parking space in front of them. Now I want you to look at manifestation and law of attraction through the second lens, the psychological lens. You have to have lived on a rock your entire life to not understand that if you are positive and if you are a good energy to be around, then more people will want to be around you, thus opening up more doors for you, thus opening more opportunities, ultimately making it more likely that you're going to be able to live the life that you want. Common sense. But manifestation and law of attraction are a slippery slope, because I think that they capitalize on people when they are at their weakest and most vulnerable. About 3 years ago, when I was probably at my weakest and my most vulnerable, basically the entirety of my TikTok was people writing things that they wanted to happen on paper and sleeping on them underneath their pillow, saying that that would make it more likely that it would happen. And even though in the back of my head I knew that scientifically there's not much evidence to back up any of those claims, I still watched every single one because of the state of mind I was in at that time. Not only do I think that some law of attraction and manifestation ideas are exploitative, I also think that they kind of take the responsibility off our own actions. But I digress slightly. I want to go back to the psychological lens. We need to answer the big question: how can we bring more positivity into our life? Enter the gratitude group chat. This, my friends, is a group chat that I have with my nearest and dearest, where every single day we put a message into the group chat saying 3 things that we are grateful for. This group chat has just meant that not only me, but also the friends that I'm in this group chat with notice the small stuff again that we'd spent so many years not even acknowledging. Now is the best bit, which will set this habit video away from every single other one that you've ever watched, I promise. We are going to take this habit and we are going to fit it into the habit loop so that you have a worked example of how to use the habit loop in your own life. Or if you want to be my guest and steal one of these habits for yourself, then work away. Stage 1 of the habit loop. This is the cue. The cue is all about making it obvious. Making what obvious? I hear you ask. The habit. Making the habit obvious. There is a certain corridor that I walk through on my way to work, and it is the last corridor before I need to put my phone away and be a doctor. And because of this, I always associate that corridor with messaging in my gratitude group chat. Step 2 of the habit loop is the craving, to make it attractive. It really isn't that hard to make speaking to your friends attractive. That's quite a nice thing. But when we think about this habit specifically, in comparison to, say, if you were trying to do a gratitude journal where that would involve you just writing your gratitudes down, the ridiculously simple element of turning it into a group chat immediately makes it so much more fun and attractive and enjoyable, because it's an excuse to speak to your friends at the same time. 3, response, make it easy. Sending a message on a group chat is not exactly curing world diseases. But again, imagine if I'd committed to doing this habit by phoning my friends or emailing my friends, or even if on this group chat we had said that each grateful has to have a full explanation and story time all about why that is you're grateful to justify why you are grateful for it. That would make it so much harder, and thus way less that we would all stick to it. Some days my 3 gratefuls are sunshine, sunshine and sunshine, and no one tells me off for it. Simple switches that you may have completely overlooked are the key to making habits stick. The final step of the habit loop: for reward. Make it satisfying. Now, if I like someone's gratefuls on that group chat, I will usually react with a heart. But on the other hand, if anyone forgets to do their gratefuls, we will call them out for it on the chat, which is kind of the opposite of a reward. Next morning habit that has completely changed my life is front loading my nutrition. It has taken me a pretty long time, but I'd say I've 80% healed my relationship with food and my body, and I have breakfast every single day. The morning habit of front loading my nutrition and having a smoothie every single day has completely revolutionized my life. And I can hear you already, smoothies aren't real food, smoothies are full of sugar, but guys, I saw a Daily Mail article, probably not the most reliable of source. However, 86% of British people skip breakfast. More shockingly, half of them start the day with a bag of crisps. I have been in a lot of situations where I am rushing out the door in a hurry, which is why I love a smoothie so much. And I'm a firm believer in how you start your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. So a smoothie is how I love to front load my nutrition. If you've lived by yourself or even just with one other person, you will understand how hard it is to buy the right amount of groceries every week and not let food go to waste, especially fresh produce. So my smoothies in the morning are basically improvised every single day with what I've got lying around, but there are 3 ingredients that are a staple in every single one of my smoothies to make them more nutritious, to keep me fuller for longer, and to keep the sugar content a little bit lower. Greek yogurt for protein, courgette for creaminess and to get in a vegetable nice and early, and then I also use the AG1 green powder as well. Green powder are absolutely not essential, guys, but when I'm about to go into work for a 12-hour shift and I may not get a chance to eat a proper meal throughout the day, I like just adding a green powder in as a little bit of a safety net to make sure that I'm getting the vitamins that I need. So how have I made this habit stick? I hear you ask. 1, the queue. This one's easy. I wake up, I walk out of my room and I see my kitchen. Simple changes like having my fruit bowl or blender on the counter on display to remind me what fresh produce I've got lying about and that I need to make my smoothie can make a big difference. 2, the craving. My smoothies taste bloody good. 3, the response, how we make it easy. Oats are another amazing breakfast, but even if you prep them overnight, there's still a lot more extra steps than just chucking whatever you've got in the fridge into a blender and hoping for the best. My smoothie takes me max 5 minutes in the morning, and if I'm running really late, I can take it with me to drink on my commute. Number 4, the reward. It tastes good and I start my day off knowing that I have fueled my mind, my body and my soul. Habit number 3 that has flipped my life on its head: morning movement. Don't turn off now, guys. I know everyone hates to hear this, but exercise is so much more than losing weight. Exercise literally makes you smarter. When you exercise, that increases blood flow. Then more blood goes to your brain smarter. Isn't that wonderful? And if you have ADHD, there was a study that found that 60 minutes of exercise could be as effective as a low dose of Ritalin. Why is it so important to exercise in the morning? Well, my friends, not only does it set the tone for the rest of your day because you've already achieved something before you've even got yourself to work, and it improves your concentration and productivity, but it also means that you've got it out the way and you do not need to rely on your discipline that will inevitably wane later on during the day. It's not getting done after work. However, if exercise was not hard enough, getting up an hour earlier to exercise can seem like it's virtually impossible. But do not fear, I have a habit loop to help. Number 1, the cue. How are we going to make it obvious? Leaving a workout set laid out ready to go as soon as you wake up, along with maybe your trainers, or if you use your phone as an alarm, you could label your alarm as workout, so immediately when you wake up you see your alarm, you know it's time to go. Or choose a gym that is visible to you on your commute to and from work, so every single day you're reminded, oh, maybe I should go to the gym tomorrow. Or finally, if you use a workout app, make sure that you have push notifications set on so you automatically get a reminder if it is a day that you should be training. 2, craving. How can we make it attractive? The $1 million question. How can I make myself want to exercise. I'm not one to encourage spending money willy-nilly, but if there is one thing that will get me out the door to the gym, it's the thought of a cute workout set and my favourite songs playing through my ears. There are so many small, simple changes you can make to sweeten the deal and get yourself to the gym. I recently got myself some Shox Open Air Fit, which are the leading open air earphones, and oh my lord almighty, they are so ridiculously comfy thanks to their lovely teardrop shaped cross section that minimises pressure. You can see better if I pop them in my ears. Oop. The ergonomic dual bevel design moves the centre of gravity close to your ear to create a lighter than air feeling when you're exercising. They are also the least faff earphones that I have ever owned, and guys, I ran a half marathon in February. The earbuds that I used for that half marathon were constantly slipping out my ear the entire way. At one point, I literally took them out and put them in my bra because they were so annoying in the middle of a half marathon, which is not what you want at all. My Shox, on the other hand, have memory alloy, which keeps them nice and snug in place, and I don't have to worry about them. Also, when I'm editing on my laptop and maybe I want to look at something on my phone, I don't have to reconnect, because amazingly, you can have two devices paired at the same time. I think spending money on things that are going to make a habit more enjoyable is not only a good way to make it more attractive, but I think it's also making a monetary commitment to yourself to solidify that habit into your routine, increasing the likelihood that you're actually going to stick to it. So if you would like to buy your own Shox Open Fit Air, then I will leave a link down below. And thank you, Shox, for sponsoring this video and the gift of never having to worry about my earphones coming out of my ear halfway through a half marathon again. Boop. Number 3, the response. How do we make exercising easier? Pick an exercise that fits seamlessly into your routine. Whether that is cycling to work or switching, meeting up with friends for a Pilates class, or making sure that you pick the gym that is most convenient to you. Choose the path of least resistance, because exercise is hard enough to do anyway. 4, the reward. How do we make morning movement satisfying? Simple. Always document it. Nothing is too small to Strava. Whether it is the distance you ran, the pace, the weights that you lifted, or the lady who recorded her labour as a workout on Strava, document what you have done, because as much as we would hope that the endorphins that we get from exercise would be enough of a reward in themselves, it's important to acknowledge every single goal or achievement that we hit when we're exercising to give it the most chance of sticking. Earlier this year, my friend asked if I wanted to do a half marathon, and she lives in Edinburgh. I thought it would be a good excuse to see her, so I said yes. But every single time I went on any training run, I basically spent the entire training run thinking to myself how I was vowing that I would never, ever, ever agree to run a half marathon again. Fast forward to approximately 10 minutes after passing the finish line, and I was asking everyone who fancied putting their name down for the London Marathon ballot. Do not underestimate the power of acknowledging your achievements, even if it is as silly as someone putting a plastic medal around your neck. This next habit, guys, I cannot undersell it enough, because it is easily the one that's made the biggest difference in my life. And it's one that I have been trying to do for honestly years and years and years. The habit is not going on my phone for the first hour when I wake up. And I cannot explain how much of an achievement this was for me, because as sad as this is about to sound, I used to sleep with my phone under my pillow. Honestly makes me cringe so much now. My phone used to be the first thing that I would go on every single day, the first thing I would reach for. And if we think about how much the morning sets the tone for the rest of our day, going on my phone as the first thing meant that any time I faced any difficulty throughout the rest of the day, maybe it's procrastination or struggling with a task, the first thing I would reach for would be my phone. Now, the cue for this habit actually starts the night before when I am going to bed. I start to get tired, I go to put my phone on charge, when enter the craving. In all the other examples, I've talked about how to make a habit attractive, but the craving step can also work in the opposite direction. If you are trying to implement a habit that is just not sticking, this is where I want you to turn. See, here, my friends, my humble desk. Would you believe me if I told you that this was the key to overcoming the temptation of a late night TikTok scroll? My desk has a drawer, and then behind the drawer, there is a very handy little hole with cables to keep the cables organised. To get to said cables and set up the cable station down the back of my desk, I have to remove this drawer. Not just take it out, I have to remove it. That is incredibly faffy. I decided, because this was my desk and often I would need that same cable to charge other items on my desk, I would keep it in this place that is incredibly inconvenient to move it away from. Thus, if I wanted to charge my phone, I would either have to remove that cable every single night to plug it in by my bed and then plug it in back to my desk the next day, or I could just leave my phone at my desk. Thus, I didn't make it any more attractive, I just made it more of a hassle, and that was enough deterrent for me to continue to charge my phone at my desk. Number 3, the response. How do we make it easy? So you're me, and you've just woken up and I haven't reached for my phone. How do I continue to not reach for my phone? Well, when I wake up in the morning, I try and do about an hour's work before going into work. That is how I make life tick over when I'm trying to work 2 jobs. My phone is conveniently placed behind my laptop screen. So when I sit down to do that work, the temptation is not staring me in the face. Number 4, reward. How do we make it satisfying? Well, firstly, when the hour is over, I get to go on my phone, which, as much as I've tried to overcome the addiction I have to my phone, I do still look forward to the first time that I get to look on it. The other reward is the superiority complex I have from telling my friends that I no longer sleep with my phone under my pillow. Final habit, guys, then you are free to go off and do as you please. Commute conversations. I live in London, which is approximately 7 hours away from my home in North Wales, which means that I don't get to see my family as much as I would like. But in my last rotation, myself and my mum got into a habit of calling each other whilst we were both driving into work, and it really got me thinking about the concept of rate limiting steps and also how much time is wasted on our commute to work. So I did some research. The average commute in EU countries is approximately 30 minutes, an hour a day, about 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month, and a whopping 240 hours in a year, which is 10 whole days. To put that into perspective, a quick, not necessarily reliable Google search told me that it takes authors about 50 to 100 hours to write their first draft of a novel. In your morning commute, you could literally write an entire novel and still have time left over. Stop seeing your commute as dead time, but see it as a rate limiting step that can be utilised. That book that you've been meaning to read, get the audio version and stick it on in the car, or maybe the job that you hate that you're commuting to, use that hour to start your side hustle or plan your escape. You could learn how to invest, or I used to cycle to work until my bike was stolen because I realised that for an extra 5 or 10 minutes I could get in my daily exercise and make the most of the time that I was going to spend commuting anyway. This all may come across as a little bit toxic productivity, like, can we not enjoy a single moment of our life that isn't spent doing something productive? And fine, I completely agree, but I don't know many people who don't begrudge their morning commute. So how do we make these productive habits that we are going to start in our commuting time stick, I hear you ask? Number 1, the queue. Well, that is the easiest queue ever because you literally just get in your car, train, bus, and you go to work. Craving, how to make it attractive. For the example I used for calling my mum, this is super easy because I love to call my mum. And car journeys are boring, and sometimes I have decision paralysis about the type of music I want to put on. And if there's a habit that you want to start in your morning commute and you're struggling to think of any ideas for the habit loop, then leave them down below and we can try and help each other create foolproof habit loops so that all your habits stick. 3, the response, make it easy. Again, I just hit call and I call my mum in the car. But if, say, you want to do something like start a book, as much as I wouldn't suggest that the Notes app on your phone is the productivity tool of the century, it's the simplest and most easy to access and incredible for just jotting down ideas with minimal friction. Number 4, the reward, a habit tracker. It's amazing that simply checking something off a habit tracker every single day is enough of a silly little dopamine kick to fool our brains into satisfaction. Here is a video you may also enjoy about my habit system, and if you would like to see a little bit more of my life, then this is a recent vlog that you might enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.